What's up, everybody? It's your girl, The Sin Show, and yes, I am back with another episode. Well, I'm just not even going to bother to get into the tactics. You know what I'm saying? I'm not even going to get bothered to even go into the full-on intro spiel. You already can tell by the caption. Mm. Viruses, my G. Mm. It's giving Groundhog's Day, isn't it? Mm? It's giving Pandemic 2.0. It's giving what I told y'all asses that I knew was coming down the pipeline in my predictions video. It's giving. It's giving trash. Mm. And now I have no choice but to have to forewarn you in this slew of video compilations of news clips and TikTok reels. Because, honey, what we cannot have happen again is another lockdown. I know you guys are not ready. And even if you were truly, let's low key think about it. Let's low key think about it. When the lockdown initially happened, where were you at that time? What did you have that you didn't have to go out and buy, aka toilet paper, in excess that you didn't need? What was it that you ended up doing in that you probably had to adjust or recreate yourself or pivot just because at that time it was kind of low key forced upon us to sit our asses down, to not travel? If you have not noticed, certain airlines right now, airline companies is trying to make it a little tougher for us to now want to travel. These people is talking about, oh, you want to bring your carry-on? Extra money. I want you to put two and two together as you watch this video compilation. Now, you know how it goes. I only put this shit together for what? Education and entertainment purposes only. I can almost barely talk, honey, because child. But do what you need to do with this video compilation, honey. Me, on the other hand, I'm going to find you in the comment section where we can what? Keep key about what we see. Okay? Y'all go ahead and enjoy this. And before I let you go, wash your hands. Wash your motherfucking hands. Wash not just your hands, wash your body. Just do it. Because it seems like now at this point in time, you keep forgetting that we on Earth is truly a full on petri dish. We're constantly fucking moving around, okay? Bombarding each other beyond and in between the 6 feet, okay? And I hate to say it, especially with what's been going on over here, because bird flu, all flus, whatever, birds be migrating with this thing, transmission, bringing, child, the transmission is everywhere. It's everywhere. So if it's in they poop, and you out there walking your dog, and you go out and you pick up after your dog, which I thank you very much. Thank you to all the pet owners who do that. Mad love and appreciation to you because you're making it better, and that's good responsibility on you as a pet owner. Mad love and respect to you. Okay. But what I'm also going to add as the next caveat is after that, girl, child, honey, boo, sir, you're going to need to wash your hands because low key, at the end of the day, boo, the hand sanitizer, if you even happen to have that with you, boo, it ain't gonna cut it. It ain't gonna cut it, not this time around. There's something going on with this one. Remember, this is 2.0. We didn't know about that motherfucker back then in 2020, but we know a little bit more now. And if you want to prevent this bullshit, just wash everything. Shit, wash your dog. Wash your damn dog. Wash your cats. What? Just do it. Okay, you want to live around for a little while longer, baby? You get to wash him. And if you don't know about motherfucking Dettol, you better pick that goddamn bottle up. All right, don't play yourself. Don't play yourself. Anyway, that's all I got to say for this part of the video. Y'all go ahead and enjoy this video compilation. Like I said, let's have a whole kiki in the comment section about it. I'll catch y'all motherfuckers in the next video. Bye.
I'm Ellen Leva, live from ABC7. California has declared a state of emergency in response to the bird flu. Governor Gavin Newsom made the proclamation in order to streamline and expedite the state's response to the virus. This virus has spread to 16 states, and California has reported 34 human cases. That's more than any other state. All infected individuals had exposure to infected cattle, and California also has the greatest number of cattle herds infected.
If you were to ask me in 2019 what would be the next big viral pandemic, I would have said bird flu.
Davey Smith is chief of infectious disease at UC San Diego Health. He says virologists have been watching bird flu for years.
Right now we have a virus that is circulating in cows and in birds, but it's not circulating in humans. So what is that virus going to look like when it finally does get to us is the question.
Newsom's state of emergency means state agencies will work together to educate farm workers and employers about prevention and the use of protective gear. And they're planning bilingual outreach events to educate the public on how to stay safe.
It starts getting the infrastructure and resources in place for our public health agencies to start testing or to increase their testing, increase their education, increase the preparation for getting ready if bird flu were to erupt in a big way.
Scripps research scientists in La Jolla have been studying how the virus evolves. They published a study earlier this month where they identified a mutation that could make it easier for it to spread among humans.
So that gives us a little bit of a crystal ball saying, hey, these are proteins that are really important that perhaps we need to include in our vaccine so that when the virus has evolved to infect us from person to person to person, this might be a really good strategy to block that.
Smith says besides direct contact with farm animals and wild birds, the virus can spread in raw milk, so avoid it and drink pasteurized milk instead.
I am not freaking out. I am still going to have my latte.
He says while the risk of bird flu remains low for the general public, Newsom's declaration will help public health departments be ready to sound the alarm.
Hopefully early enough and ready enough so that when we know what vaccine to give, that we can all get it and be protected as much as possible.
Heidi DeMarco, KPBS News.
The first person in the United States to die after being infected with the bird flu virus, known as H5N1, was over 65, had other medical problems, and was exposed to domestic poultry and wild birds, according to health officials in Louisiana, where the death occurred. There have been 66 confirmed human cases of H5N1 in the United States since the start of 2024.
This is really a plague. It's called bird flu, but it also affects people. It's killed millions of wildlife in the U.S., especially birds of prey and carnivores and predators. What happens is they eat the birds that die, and then they get infected, right?
Officially known as avian influenza, the bird flu has spread to more than 900 cow herds in the United States since March. But the World Health Organization says the risk to the general population remains low.
It's not circulating in humans, but it is jumping into humans who are exposed, particularly those exposed to poultry or to the dairy cattle, the two sort of groups where we're seeing most of the the movement from animal to human, but we're not seeing sustained circulation.
Outside of the United States, more than 950 cases of bird flu have been reported in the past 20 years. In half those cases, the patients died.
I think that it is impossible to exaggerate the risk that H5N1 avian influenza poses. This virus has the potential to create a pandemic that would absolutely dwarf. It'd make you forget that COVID-19 ever happened.
U.S. health officials say the evidence suggests that the Louisiana patient developed mutations of the virus as their illness worsened. That alarms some healthcare experts who worry a more lethal mutating virus could eventually spread to humans.
This thing at the moment doesn't represent a great human health risk, and it really probably, unless you're a poultry worker, and it really won't until that one moment when that reassortment happens in one person, and then it's too late to do anything.
So that's the risk. It's not a static target, it's a moving target.
The veterinarians say domesticated cats are susceptible to the bird flu.
If you've got a cat that you can keep from going outside and interacting with wild birds, that might help.
They also put to rest concerns about the bird flu tainting chicken and eggs sold at the grocery store.
If the chicken is cooked or the eggs are cooked, there's no risk for humans. You just have to cook it.
And they say milk is safe as long as it's pasteurized. Dora McQuarr, VOA News, Washington.
If you live in BC, you've got to listen to this. We might have the first human case of the H5N1 bird flu. This flu is caused by the avian influenza virus, which occurs naturally among aquatic birds and spreads easily from bird to bird. And since last month, at least 22 infected poultry premises have been identified in BC. So here we have the first detection of a presumed human case, not only just in BC, but in Canada. All we know so far is that the individual is a teenager from the Fraser Health region who's receiving care currently at BC Children's Hospital. Dr. Bonnie Henry said that they're doing a full investigation to understand the source of exposure here in BC. Does this potential case worry you? Let us know in the comments.
Bird flu? Well, yeah, that's what they do. Last night, the largest fresh egg producer in the United States announced they found H5N1 in chickens at their Texas plant. How scared should you be or not be, and what does this mean? I'm a scientist. Today's April 3rd, and I'll tell you. The company culled about 2 million animals, representing about 4% of their flock, to prevent further spread. No eggs have been reculled. Per the U.S. Department of Agriculture, eggs are still safe to eat when properly handled and cooked. This is the same H5N1 that was recently detected in dairy cows and spread from a cow to a human, which we discussed yesterday. It's been spreading among animal reservoirs actually now for years, including in dogs, cats, skunks, bears, seals, birds of course, among others. H5N1 can have a fatality rate upwards of 90% in chickens, which is why another name for this virus is highly pathogenic avian influenza. The fact that birds can get bird flu is not news, but the question is, can humans get bird flu from birds? Yes, there are hundreds of documented cases of humans getting H5N1 from animals. The much more important question is whether humans can spread it to other humans, which fortunately does not currently appear to be the case. That is really good news. In other words, this is not a pandemic 2.0, and I'm currently not very concerned. I do have to say, though, that is possible, like we discussed yesterday. If the flu virus undergoes certain changes, this could become transmittable among humans. Now, that may not happen ever with this H5N1, but at some point in the future, human animal farming will cause another pandemic. It's just a matter of time. But like I said, I'm not imminently worried that this is about to happen. Hit the follow, and I'll see you next time.
At stopping a new strain of bird flu from entering Australia. Unlike the strain currently causing outbreaks in 3 states, H5N1, while rare in humans, can cause severe disease. The Agriculture Minister says we cannot rest on our laurels, with the threat of sick birds migrating over spring. Funding will go toward investigating commercial vaccines, increased surveillance, and rapid response measures.
That I have to make this video. TikTok isn't even letting me post it. We'll see. We'll see if this one gets through. A lot of us have been dealing with respiratory illnesses that remained a mystery. They're telling us it's not COVID, it's not the flu, it's not RSV. Some of you are getting a pneumonia diagnosis, but that's like later on. It turns into pneumonia. You can also go and look at like the numbers for all the respiratory stuff, like all of those things, the COVID, the RSV, everything, all those numbers have also jumped in December of 24 when we had that real weird fog. So I'm just wondering how many of you guys know about like London's deadly smog of 1952 or something like that. Maybe go read a little bit about that and then read about how the bird flu becomes airborne. Just some thoughts. I hate that I have to make this video. TikTok isn't even letting me post it. We'll see.
Did you know that the Great Smog of London in 1952 changed history? For 5 days, a thick, deadly fog smothered the city, causing chaos and claiming over 4,000 lives. Visibility was so poor that people couldn't see their own feet. This catastrophe forced the government to act, leading to the Clean Air Act of 1956. This legislation drastically reduced air pollution, transforming London and setting an example worldwide. Imagine London's iconic landmarks hidden behind a suffocating gray blanket. Amidst the tragedy, a powerful lesson emerged. Our environment can't be taken for granted. It's a stark reminder that out of darkness, progress can rise, shaping a cleaner, brighter future for all.
2 of reporting what my air purifier is telling us so that if you don't have one, you can now know what the air is saying. I've had this thing for 4 years. It's never gone over 100, and this is normally what it looks like temporarily if we've been cooking or we put out a candle in our house. So this is average for it being red. The only difference is normally it will go back to being blue within about 30 minutes, and it hasn't turned blue in about a week and a half. I don't know how long it's been, but it's been quite some time since it's been blue. Changing the different modes so that you can see all of the percentages of air quality that this air purifier shows you. So we're at 46 today. And for everybody that's like, you're crazy, it's just fog. Okay. I don't know if you've noticed, but in the other videos that I posted about my air purifier and the air quality being so wacky lately, that I'm not the only one that thinks it's a little off. There's a lot of people that feel the same way. So I'm just showing you what my air purifier is doing. This is when I started noticing that the weird air is happening.
For Pandemic 2.0, I want to remind you guys of a couple of things. For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, there has been a huge uptick in bird flu, H5N1. Several states have declared a state of emergency, California being one of them. Other countries are ordering millions upon millions of doses of the vaccine. We're gearing up, okay? Those who know the patterns have seen it. It's looking quite similar to a couple of years ago. I'm not saying any of this to fearmonger. I'm just talking about what's actually going on. Remember that hand washing can save your life. Wash your hands. If you do not know how to wash your hands appropriately, learn how to do so. Wear a mask if you're going out in public. Cover your cough. Disinfect your surfaces. And please, for the love of God, understand that toilet paper is not going to save your life. Get yourself a case. That's all you need. If you have a large family, get 2. You don't need that much toilet paper. Please don't make that a rerun. But most of all, just please keep an eye out. Don't give in to the fear mongering. Do your research and just stay safe, because if we learned anything from the first time, it's that we all need to do our part. And hopefully this will be over sooner rather than later. As we gear up for Pandemic 2.0, I want to remind you
Canada has what's believed to be its first human case of avian flu, caught by a teenager in BC's Fraser Valley. What isn't known is how the young person got infected.
We have to obviously take this very seriously.
The teen is being treated at BC Children's Hospital while public health workers follow up with their contacts. Provincial Health Officer Bonnie Henry says they're conducting a thorough investigation to fully understand the source of exposure here in BC. Health officials say the likely source is an infected animal or bird.
There's no indication of any human cases associated with a BC farm at this time.
6.4 million birds have been infected on BC farms, and there have been outbreaks on American farms, including in nearby Washington state.
We moved to our highest level of biosecurity on October the 16th when we were seeing other cases in neighboring jurisdictions.
Migrating birds drive the spread with what they leave behind.
We know this is circulating globally in obviously in wild birds, and there's of course this very large outbreak. We know that political borders don't stop the spread of infectious diseases.
While human cases of avian flu are rare, more than 40 have been detected in the U.S. this year.
Most have been on the milder end of the spectrum, but we know that this is a virus that has potential to cause significant clinical harms.
In 2014, a Canadian resident died after likely being infected in China. There is no vaccine for avian flu, but experts say a seasonal flu shot could still be helpful. It can prevent mutations that infect more humans.
There might be an opportunity for these viruses to exchange genetic material.
But the best advice, stay away from sick birds.
I try to stay away from wildlife, just respect their environments and keep a distance. I'm also terrified of birds, so by default I keep my distance regardless. Health officials are urging people to report any dead wildlife that they do find or see.
And Yvette, you mentioned there's no vaccine for avian flu, but there is more advice on how we can protect ourselves.
Well, that's right, Ian. And, health officials are emphasizing that it's never a good idea to handle wildlife or dead wildlife. And if you ever do touch something like that, you're urged to scrub your hand. And to keep in mind that this is spread through migratory wild birds, fowl, like Canadian geese mostly, but it can also spread through mammals like cats or cows. So to keep your pets away from dead wildlife as well.
Yvette Brand reporting from Vancouver tonight.
We go. Here the fuck we go. Here we go. Here the fuck we go. Here the fuck we go. Here we go. Here the fuck we go. Here the fuck we go.
Si una noche entro a tu cuarto y nuevamente te hago mía. What kind of fuckery is this? You made me miss the slick rig.
More than 150 students are sick at the University of Guelph after a suspected norovirus outbreak. The school has confirmed that students living in one residence began reporting symptoms on Monday. The region's public health says it has received a positive report of norovirus, a highly contagious viral infection. The outbreak comes amid winter cold and flu season. An infectious diseases specialist, Dr. Dale Kalina, describes some of the symptoms that come with norovirus.
With norovirus, it's very obvious. You get vomiting right away and then usually diarrhea afterwards. That's why it's so important to wash your hands when you're worried about fighting viral gastroenteritis. But when we're talking about respiratory viruses, that's when it gets a little bit trickier. Of course, there's a lot of differentiating symptoms, whether you have a runny nose or a sore throat, shortness of breath, things like that. They can all be caused by COVID, influenza, RSV, cold and flu viruses.
Guelph University has now canceled some social events and has increased sanitation in the residence as a result.
My friend caught norovirus, so let's talk about it and how horrible it is. I don't know if it's going around right now, but I have seen a couple other people with it as well, so. Norovirus is a highly contagious viral infection that causes gastroenteritis, which is inflammation of the stomach and intestines. A lot of people refer to it as the stomach flu or the stomach bug. Symptoms include intense nausea and vomiting, diarrhea, and stomach cramps. Spread through fecal-oral transmission, meaning someone probably didn't wash their hands properly before preparing your food, but it can also spread through water or surfaces, which makes it very popular on cruise ships or hospitals, and it sucks. It will typically resolve on its own with supportive care over a few days, but it will wipe you out and it's actually the worst thing ever. Her symptoms started as nausea and like intense stomach cramping. She was like, I've never experienced anything like this before. And it continued over like at least 2 to 3 days, and then it ended up being diarrhea and things like that. Honestly, you just have to hydrate and take medicines to kind of get you through it. You will get through it. We ended up doing a GI test that confirmed that it was norovirus, and yeah, it's just, you don't want it.
Okay, the CDC just released a pretty crappy statistic that we need to talk about. I'll also explain to you how to potentially avoid it, and if it happens to you, what to do about it. So the CDC just announced that cruise ships saw more stomach virus in 2024 than more than in a decade. Notice this is not my shocked face. This happened for a couple different reasons. One is it's a floating petri dish. So the germs just keep kind of circulating there. We know this. People still cruise. My family has still gone on cruises, but you can do so with some precautions that help prevent getting sick or at least reduce your risk greatly. But that's not really new. But we are seeing cruise ships more packed in than they have been in previous years because people are returning to do things that they haven't done since before 2020. And more people are wanting to do them that had not done them before as a consequence of 2020 having been a thing. 2, people have stopped doing the basic things again, like hand washing. Yes, they have hand washing stations, but people are not aggressively using them appropriately. Or after they do, they forget, don't touch your face, don't do other things. And if you do, wash your hands again. Not rocket surgery, but it's not happening consistently. 3, we saw the emergence of these mega ships. Multiple cruise companies introduced much larger ships, which means many more people in a small space together. This means more spread of bugs. It's just simple math. 1, make sure that when you can, you avoid buffets on cruise ships because people pass bugs that way. It's just an easy way to get sick. If you're gonna eat at the buffet, which we actually have occasionally, you go right as it opens. And I mean, like, be the first in line, get the food early, and then take it out on a back deck. 3, wear a mask. This is pretty simple, low-lying fruit. Many of you don't want to hear that anymore, but it prevents you from getting sick with a lot of different things. Stomach bug can be one of them. The caveat that stomach bug can also be passed through touch pretty easily, so you need to also be doing number 4, frequent hand washing. 5, don't be Typhoid Mary. Seriously, Google it. If you start having symptoms, call to see the ship doctor immediately. Yes, this will typically end in quarantine in your room, but it means you won't be getting everybody else sick. Again, these things will not completely prevent you from getting sick, but as sure as heck it's going to reduce your chance greatly. The key is consistency. Or you can always stay home, but nobody wants to actually stay home when they can travel if they're healthy. So go ahead and share this so other people know what to do and how to do this well, and follow for more.